All right. Hey, great thinkers. I am Eric Thurwanger, and I'm the founder of Think Great. I'm also the author of the Think Great collection. And I wanted to welcome you to today's webinar on the goal formula. We have people from all over the world tuning in right now, and I know why you're here. That's because if you're on this call right now, you know that you can either succumb to your circumstances or you can embrace the opportunity directly in front of us. And I know what you're thinking. Did he just say opportunity? I did. I know that we're facing challenges, but there's also opportunities as we go through them and as we come out on the other side. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to have the opportunity to share with you my formula for setting and accomplishing goals no matter what circumstances you face. Because I'm a firm believer that great goals help us to overcome our challenges. And this is the time when we need to focus on our goals the most. I think every single person on this call today would realize and embrace the fact that we are under a significant amount of stress and challenge today, worldwide. In fact, when I was looking at the statistics recently, I pulled stats from last week, about 8 days ago, on COVID-19. On March 17th, there were 190,000 cases in 155 countries with 7,500 deaths. We just pulled it. The Think Great team was looking at the stats this morning, and the number of confirmed cases has climbed to 438,000 in 172 countries with 19,675 deaths. To say that we are facing a challenge would be an understatement right now. This is the most important presentation, speech, motivational webinar I've ever given in my life. Right now, everyone that's on this call is going to be able to put your goals as a priority through some of the toughest times, and I'm committed to guide you through that. Now, I would say that it's common knowledge that global perceptions right now, people are feeling a high sense of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear and there's anxiety out there. Those three things alone could make it hugely difficult to accomplish any single goal. In fact, goal setting alone without that is tough. Scranton University did a study on goal setting, and what they discovered was 92% of the people who set goals fail at them. That's 92% who fail without a worldwide epidemic like we're facing right now. So there's a high likelihood that that number could go up. But what it does leave us is with 8% of the population who consistently accomplish their goals. And we have to ask ourselves this question: are we prepared to be in the 8% today? I am. And I'm going to share strategies and techniques with you so you can stay in that 8% and accomplish goals no matter what circumstances you face. Now, in addition to making it tough to accomplish goals with uncertainty and fear, anxiety, those three things can also impact our health. That's right. I said health. They can impact our health. In fact, when we experience high levels of uncertainty and fear and anxiety, we can start to experience elevated levels of stress. I'm going to guess that in the last 2 weeks, you know people, maybe you have experienced high levels of stress. It's not uncommon today for people to feel stressed out or overwhelmed. And when that happens, our body responds by producing more cortisol. And when cortisol hits, it helps our defenses to fight back against stress. But over the long haul, if that's not kept in check, it can actually lower our immune system. So in essence, uncertainty, fear, anxiety not only make it tough to accomplish goals, but it can be unhealthy for us by lowering our immune system and making things even worse. So I want to share something with you. Here's my belief level on everything going on right now, that this will pass. Just like every other challenge that we've ever faced, it will pass. And I want you to understand that tough times never last, but great thinkers do. And today is all about enhancing our perceptions and using goals as tools. What I'm starting to experience right now, that the world, most people and businesses are in a holding pattern, that they have literally placed their goals on hold, which is the worst thing that we could do. We need to move our goals to the forefront of the challenge, not to the background. And there's reasons for this. Right now, your goals are more important than they've ever been. And so we can't afford to move them to the back burner. They are going to help us to stay in control of our future. In other words, they're going to allow us to look up from a very uncertain and challenging present and into a positive and genuine and awesome future. We need goals to help us look beyond our challenges. In addition to that, when we're focused on goals, we start to control our own stress levels, which means that we will be healthier and happier at the same time. There is no greater time to focus on our goals than now. You see, we have to have a transformation of perceptions. You probably know people who are feeling the pinch from uncertainty, from fear, from anxiety. And today, with this webinar, with this presentation, with these strategies and techniques, you can transform those into being unwavering, into having clear focus, and to taking action. We need these things right now, perhaps more than ever. And I know what you're thinking. Is he qualified to encourage us to set goals during challenging times? Well, I'm going to share some of my challenges with you, some of the challenges I've experienced, and I'll let you decide. For many of you on this call, you know some of my backstory, but you don't know it all. And there was a time period where a lot of challenges hit. And it started right after Gina and I got married. So way back in 1998, we got married, and we had set some amazing goals. We were going to buy a house, have kids, travel the world, save for retirement, all of these great goals. We discussed them. We were excited to pursue them. And then some challenges start to hit. The very first challenge occurred just a couple months after we were married, and I was laid off. And so our finances took a hit. And it was challenging. There was some uncertainty and fear. I had to look for a new job. And so that started to impact our goals. But the really big hit, the big challenge that came to us during our honeymoon phase was 10 months in. And Gina received a call from her doctor, and she was told that you have cancer. She was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So right there in the first year of our marriage, I had been laid off, and Gina had been diagnosed with cancer, and I became a caregiver. I started a new career, which was a challenge in and of itself because I started in the financial services industry as a 100% commission-only sales rep. I knew nothing about sales or financial services, so it didn't help right away. In fact, it was tough to get new clients, and we started to go further into debt. I remember when they actually repossessed my vehicle, which made it even harder to go out and develop new business. And things got so bad that we actually had our electricity shut off. It was challenging enough to have somebody on the home front, someone you love battling cancer, but when the lights get flicked off on her, it's tough to keep their morale high. Now, fortunately, after 7 cycles of chemotherapy, a month of radiation, and a stem cell transplant, Gina went into remission. But then a new challenge started. She started to go through a recovery period, which lasted about a year. But before that year was up, within 6 months, my father passed away from adult onset diabetes. Sometimes it just feels like you can't get a break. And we had to stay positive and optimistic. That was one of the first things our oncologist told me, was to keep her positive, keep her spirits high. But all of these things were hitting, and it was challenging. A couple of years after Gina went into remission from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, she was diagnosed with basal cell cancer. In 2010, the radiation that didn't work on the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma came back to give her breast cancer. And in 2011, we received the news that she had melanoma. It was cancer, cancer, and more cancer. It was also during this time period that we were taking care of both of our moms, trying to support them. And so I would say that those qualify as a challenge. But really, I think one of the biggest came in 2016. And I came home doing a Starbucks run with my daughter. And within 30 seconds of us being home, Gina passed away of cardiac arrest. The chemo treatments, the radiation, stem cell transplant had impacted her heart. And she passed away right in front of me. And while I was doing CPR, the first responders got there and took over, but she was already gone. It took 3 times being hit with the defibrillator before she came back. And it was during these time periods that we set goals. We didn't give up. We tried to focus on a better future for ourselves. And I just want to say right now, it may be tough to be positive. It may be tough to have a great attitude. It may be tough to bring the best game you've ever brought. But now it's needed more than ever. It's needed by us on the home front, and it's also needed by us in the workplace, because the whole paradigm has shifted, and we need to shift with it. And I'm going to encourage you to continue to bring your goals to the forefront. Now, I think those would qualify as some challenges. So how did we do it? Well, our goals became a focal point. This was very important in our family. We talked about goals. It was during this time period that we actually set new goals, and we started to focus on our goals as tools. These goals became tools for us to fight back, to be more positive, to keep a better attitude, to overcome our obstacles. Goals were not just simple short-term or long-term goals, they were tools for us, and we used them. We talked about them. We had set the goal of buying a house, and we bought our house. We actually set a goal of buying rental properties, and we did that. I set the goal of going back into the film industry, and I did it. And I even became the vice president of a media company. And we grew that company by setting and accomplishing goals to over 300%. And we did it during the recession too. I also set the goal of forming my own company. Think great, we did that. I set the goal of writing a book. I've written 6 and more to come. I use the goal formula as the foundation for helping our clients to set and accomplish goals through our coaching program. I've also set a goal of launching a foundation, and we launched it 2 years ago, and the foundation awards scholarships to military spouses. I didn't know how to do a foundation, but we have one, and we accomplished this goal. In fact, the foundation goal was set while Gina was recovering from cardiac arrest. You see, we need to move our goals to the forefront. We cannot afford to let them be on the back burner or be forgotten about. We need to set goals so we can talk about them. We have to talk about them with our family members, with our friends, with our coworkers. I know a lot of us are communicating remotely right now. This is important to start your conversations with goal setting and where you are on that process. Now, I want to share a few common denominators. Before I formalize the goal formula, there were some things that were happening that allowed me to set and accomplish more goals. The very first was having a powerful mindset. And I can't stress this enough right now. I think we all need this, maybe now more than ever, is to have this point A to point B mindset. I remember the first day I came up with this, and it was a few days after Gina had been diagnosed with cancer, and that's how our life felt. That squiggly line, like it was going all over the place, like we had no control. And all I said to her was this. This is my first motivational speech. I said, let's go from point A to point B with the best attitude possible. Let's just bring our A game. And she agreed. And it caused us to rethink some things. You know, we didn't know the outcome for point B. It was either going to be death or remission. And we didn't have a time frame for point B. There was unknowns. We didn't know when it would hit. And maybe now more than ever, we need this mindset. We do not know when point B will occur. We don't even know what point B will look like when this is all said and done. But I want to challenge you, every single person on this call, call somebody. Call your family, call your friends, call your team members, your colleagues, coworkers, everybody, and encourage them to go from point A to point B with the absolute best mindset. Now, we had to have a strong mindset, but that wasn't everything we had to have, because the mindset alone was powerful, but it was when we attached a goal that we could go from point A to point B with clear focus. And so your mindset is critical, but you have to identify a goal, at least one goal, something that can give you hope. And I remember when we used our first one, and it was on the hospital bed right here at the City of Hope. And I sat there and I pulled a goal from the back burner, because when the challenges hit, all of our goals went out the window or to the back burner. We stopped working on them. And one day I sat at the edge of Gina's bed and I said, when you're not sick, not if, but when you're not sick, let's go get our house. Was it challenging to buy a house back then? Absolutely. I figured out very quickly, there's a huge difference between setting goals and accomplishing them. She was dying and I was broke, but we set the goal, and the goal gave us purpose. It was an important goal. It was filled with passion. It was filled with energy and meaning. And so when you coupled a very priority goal like that with a mindset, we started to feel energy. And when I shared this goal with Gina, I could see the spark back in her eyes. I could tell that energy was rising. She had more enthusiasm. The goal itself was not a cure for cancer. It was a cure for the challenge. It allowed us to look up from a very, very depressing challenge and look into a very optimistic future. But we needed more than that. I needed some strategies and techniques to accomplish the goal, because the goal was so important. It gave us so much hope. I couldn't let it fall flat. You have goals right now. It may seem impossible to accomplish them, but it's not. And so I would go back to my days, my roots in the military, to look for some ideas on how to accomplish goals with obstacles in our path. And we have those obstacles right now. In fact, in order for me to hit the goal of becoming a Marine, I needed to have a powerful mindset. I knew my goal was to become a Marine. And then there were these guys, our drill instructors. Every single day, they put challenges, obstacles in our path. In fact, they even had a place called the obstacle course. You have obstacles right now. This is your chance to shine. You see, the goal lies right beyond the obstacles. The obstacles in boot camp were not meant for us to run away from. We had to go through them. We had to go over them. We had to negotiate them. They were critical for our development. You see, every obstacle you have is an opportunity to become greater. It's an opportunity for us to unleash our true potential. And it's a time to realize, are our goals important enough for us to go through the obstacles? So we need the mindset, we need the goals, we need the obstacles, that perception on our obstacles. But then they did something very important, and they gave us a timeline on our goal. I'll never forget it. It was a day or two into boot camp, and they said, if you make it out of here, you will graduate. That was our goal date, our graduation date. We will become Marines on this date, November 13th, 1987. You see, you need to assign timelines to your goals. When you assign a timeline to your goal, it becomes real. And they assigned a timeline. And here's what I did with it. I took the guidebook that they issued us. In the first few days of boot camp, they issued us a book of essential subjects, hundreds of pages. And I sat up at night on my bunk with a flashlight, and I wrote November 13th, 1987 on every single page. I ingrained that date into my head. I was 18 years old at the time, and I was starting to build this formula up already. The goal was important to me. I had to get over the obstacles, but this timeline created a sense of urgency for me. And I saw the timeline every single day. Every time I flipped a new page, I saw the timeline. When you have goals, write those timelines down where you can see them. Give your goal a timeline and put it in a visual perspective. See it every day so it empowers you. And then the last common denominator was this. While I was on that bed, I started to write letters. I wrote letters home to family, to friends, anybody I had an address for, and I announced my goal and the timeline. I dropped those envelopes into that mailbox, almost regretting that I had done it as soon as I closed the door because it did something. As soon as I mailed those off, it enhanced my perceptions. I had announced it, but they didn't even know it yet. I moved myself into the 8%ers. And then I started to get letters back. Mail call would go off. Every night I'd get a new letter, a family member, a friend. And somebody would say, we're adjusting our schedule. We will be there for your graduation. Now I had no choice. I had to do it. You see, there's some common denominators that I discovered very early on. If you're on this call, you have to have the point A to point B mindset. It's got to be strong, unpowerful, and unwavering up here. You have to identify goals that are meaningful to you, that are important, that give you purpose. You've also got to have the perspective on your obstacles, that these are opportunities waiting to happen for you. These are opportunities to make us greater, to make us better, to allow us to unleash our true potential. Don't be afraid of your obstacles, overcome them. For every goal you set, have a timeline. Give it that reality, that sense of urgency. And then to take it to an entirely new level, you have to announce your goals. You got to shout it from the rooftops. Hey, I know we're practicing social distancing, so some of it's going to come through email. Some of it's going to come through a Zoom. Some of it's going to come through Facebook, but announce it. We have more tools now than ever before to announce our goals. You can announce it to the world. Let the world hold you accountable. Now, it didn't take me too long to figure out that the best way to add a level of success to goal setting was to realize that the goal is not the end state, that all of our goals are like puzzle pieces to the big picture of our lives or the vision of our business, however you want to look at it. We have to identify that big picture first, the greater purpose, why we are doing these things. What is our vision for the future? Because I said, this will not last. Tough times never last. Great thinkers do, and I need you to think about your greater purpose, your big picture, because every single goal, short-term and long-term, every single goal, personal and professional, are part of that puzzle. And when you understand your big picture and you can see it, you can visualize it, Every goal has a greater chance for success. Now, you may not have your big picture developed right now, and that's okay. We do have time on our side right now. We can develop that big picture, and we can develop it with other people. We can share it with them. And then we can start to carve out the goals needed, these little stepping stones, these puzzle pieces that will fit together to create our big picture and clear focus. And when I talk to most people about creating their big picture, they sometimes think about themselves. They sometimes think about a dream lifestyle, maybe being in peak physical shape, having a healthy lifestyle, or a dream vacation. Maybe they're thinking about a dream house or dream cars, a dream lifestyle. But here's what I found. The best big pictures, the ones with the greatest purpose, the greatest results, typically revolve around the people we care most about, our family, our friends, our loved ones. Why we're doing things are important, but who we're doing them for is critical. I want to encourage you, everyone on this phone call, viewing this webinar right now, identify your who and attach them to your goals. You know, sometimes we'll let ourselves down, but we rarely let down the people who count on us the most, the people who we love the most, the people who we care about the most. You see, when you attach your goals to your who, you activate the power of who inside of you, and you become unstoppable. Now, when I work with clients on their goals, I tend to find that every goal they set falls into one of 5 categories, a little category system I call the Fantastic Five. And we may be setting goals like this right now. In fact, I want to encourage you to set at least one goal from each category of the Fantastic Five. Some of you may set 2 or 3, and that's great. But you may have some faith goals right now. You may want to read the word more. You may want to share the word. You may want to pray more right now. Set those goals. Family, you may want to spend more time with family. I mean, you're cooped up with them right now, so you have their undivided attention. But when this is all over, what are your family goals? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do with them? You may have some fitness goals. Sure, it can be tougher right now because we can't get to the gym. They're all closed. But maybe you want to start eating healthy. Maybe you want to start going on some walks around the block, do some push-ups or sit-ups. Maybe you want to lose weight or just feel physically better. Maybe you have some financial goals. Maybe you want to get out of debt. Maybe you want to just make money right now. Maybe you want to earn more money. And fun goals. Hey, right now, there's nothing more fun than playing a board game. But you can set these goals, and you're going to start to find as you start to set faith goals, family goals, fitness goals, financial goals, and fun goals, that they all work together. They're all connected, and they all empower you because they're all parts of your big picture. Now, as you're starting to sift through these goals right now, I want you to really identify your top 3. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves. We're going to go back to using the rule of 3, something I talk about in all of my leadership courses. What 3 goals need to be accomplished right now? Perhaps there's one from each of the different categories. Maybe you have a family goal in there, a fitness goal, or a financial goal. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many goals. Just focus on 3. As soon as you accomplish one, replace it with another one. As you're looking at your list of goals, and I know these can be life-changing, I want you to understand something that empowered me very, very early on in the goal-setting process. I had to enhance my perceptions of goals, and I realized this. Every single goal that I listed had already been accomplished by somebody else, whether it was becoming a Marine, starting a business, or writing my first book. And I came up with a catchy little phrase for myself. If they can do it, I can do it. Hey, I'll admit, I was scared when I was in boot camp. I didn't think I'd make it. There were times I thought I might not make it through, might fail. Looking around and seeing the other guys do it empowered me. Thinking about all the people who had done it before me empowered me. Even when I wrote my first book, I was scared. I was nervous. You may have goals on your list right now that seem a little overwhelming or daunting, especially because of the circumstances we face. That's okay. Somebody else has already accomplished it. When I set the goal to write my first book, I had never been to a book writing course. I didn't have any certifications in it. I didn't know how to do it. And I was overwhelmed. And then I realized I'm not the only author out there. You may have already known that about me. But there were authors out there who had written books with far greater challenges than me. And I allowed their challenges and the way they overcame their circumstances to empower me, and you can do the same thing. Now, I found a goal hero for writing a book. I found a woman who was born in 1880. So there were some certain challenges back then. But she ended up going to Radcliffe College. She became a lecturer, a political activist. This woman wrote 12 books. And here I was worried about writing one. And I haven't even told you her challenges yet. She was deaf, she was blind, she was mute. You see, Helen Keller wrote 12 books. And I was worried about writing one. And so I printed her picture out, put it on my desk. I saw that every day. And it empowered me. And just so you know, she didn't do it by herself. She had help from her life coach, Ann Sullivan. Together, they authored 12 books. And she couldn't see, she couldn't hear, she couldn't talk. Imagine what we could do if we have the right mindset, if we have the right perceptions. So I've talked a lot about the importance of goal setting. I cannot underestimate and understate how important it is right now to set and accomplish goals. Our families need this, our teams need this, we need this. And so the goal formula, after years of putting everything together, here's what it all came down to. 3 elements. The goal formula is comprised of 3 simple things. It's the steps we take in the time we take them and the people we enlist to help us. When we combine these 3 elements, we become unstoppable with goals. Based on time, I can't share every component, but I want to break them down for you so you have a better pathway. I want you to understand this. The steps we take, my own company name is an acronym, GREAT. We have to identify our goals, our reasons, expectations, actions, and tracking. I'll flush it out a little bit in deeper detail for you. Identify important goals. These goals motivate you. Attach reasons to your goals, powerful reasons. For every goal you set, you could have a dozen reasons. Set high expectations, not low expectations. There's no such thing as something for nothing. We're going to have to sacrifice in order to accomplish our goals. We also have to take all the actions. To write a book, I had to write a page a day. If I missed a day, I wrote 2. And we have to track our results intensely. And I know this can be challenging because we don't like to be held personally accountable by people. This is why we enlist the help of others. Now, time is also critical. I want you to understand goals take time. Because we are faced with a severe challenge right now, look at your long-term goals as anything over 90 days. Short-term is under 90 days. You're going to hear me repeat this theme on 90 days, 90 days, 90 days, because that magic number is huge for us. In 90 days, we can take the first 3 weeks of our 90-day run, and we can start to form new patterns and habits that support our goals. I want you to think about the old patterns and habits that don't support your goals. Make a list of those so you can eliminate those. We have a unique ability to stay focused for 90 days. That's why you see programs like the P90X or the 12-week this or the 12-week that. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about a 90-day run and what we're going to do to help support that. The last component is people. Yeah, I know we're all practicing social distancing, but we will not let social distancing stop us from accomplishing our goals. In fact, there's 3 categories of people that we got to get in alignment with our goals. First is ourselves, our belief level. We got to tap into that mindset, that perception. We got to believe that we can do this. We also have to share our goals with our personal network. We're going to announce to everybody what our goals are and our timelines. And then maybe you know somebody, maybe it's a family member, a friend, a child even, somebody that you know that can go on a 90-day run with you, that can partner up day by day and help hold you accountable, be your source of motivation and inspiration to keep you on track. You see, there's too many tools out there. We got Instagram, Facebook, we got all these resources. So we may not be able to get face-to-face with each other, but we can virtually. And we're going to have the best 90-day virtual run ever in the history of the world, maybe even the first one. Now, I'm going to bring it on home with a couple topics here. Goals minimize stress. This is very, very critical. I do have a military background. I know many of you on the call have a military background. The military looks at goal setting in a unique way. And they believe that by setting goals, we eliminate stress or at least minimize it. And so I want to share something with you. In the pre-deployment literature and deployment literature for the branches of service, they address goal setting and the history of stress. Now, I'm going to replace the word deployment and I'm going to put in quarantine. And I believe that these still apply. And I'm going to read these to you directly from their handbooks. According to the Yellow Ribbon Reintegration Program, in their deployment literature, we'll call it our quarantine literature, they encourage goal setting during stressful times. I think I could get a big amen and a hallelujah that we are in a stressful time right now, so set more goals. The U.S. Navy in their Family Deployment Information Guide, we'll call it the Family Quarantine Information Guide, says this: you may both, because they're saying we should do it together, have a great partner, a spouse, a significant other, somebody to go on that run with. You may both want to consider setting some personal goals to accomplish during the quarantine. Examples include lose weight, quit smoking, start a hobby, learn a new skill or a language, continue your education. A multiple-month quarantine can seem endless. Break the quarantine into manageable pieces by setting goals and taking one day at a time. The quarantine will seem much less overwhelming. Taking good care of yourself is very important. Listeners, they're telling you goal setting is related to health. Keep a positive attitude, and this will help keep your stress level down and your energy up, and we have the formula for you to do that. Military.com, a website for military personnel and families, says this: set some personal goals to work towards during the quarantine. The time you spend preparing for a quarantine pays off down the road, and you'll find you're better able to handle the stress and take better care of yourself and your family. You see, people, goals give us hope. They allow us to minimize the stress. They allow us to navigate through the challenges. We cannot underestimate their role. And I have a question for you as we're bringing it all home right now. Do you believe that the next 90 days are coming? I know you're answering yes right now. I know they are. So the question is not, are the next 90 days coming? The question is, where will you be on day 91? Where will your family be? Where will your friends be? Where will your business be and your team members be on day 91? Now here's our give back. I appreciate so much what you've done by spending some time with us, and we want to make this worth your while. And so you're going to see it in your chat line. There's a link to download our 90-day run template. At the end of my book, The Goal Formula, I actually talk about the GPS, the goal planning strategy. In fact, I have a book called The Goal Planning Strategy. It's a 90-day power journal, and I'm giving you the templates. I want you to download them. I want you to share them around the world. Share them with everybody you want, because we need to go on a 90-day run to accomplish our goals. And here's what else we're doing. I've got a couple of presentations coming up, a couple of webinars that are free. The first one is going to be called Leading Through Chaos. You'll see a link coming up. You can start registering for that right now. We will only have 1,000 seats on this. It's going to be 30 minutes on how to lead through the chaos. And the week after that, we'll be Selling Through Chaos. Leading Through Chaos will be next Thursday. I believe that's April 2nd. And so we want to help guide you through this process. Not only do we want you to help hit your personal and professional goals, but as leaders, we want to have a forum for you so you understand how to lead through chaos. You understand the military prepares us to go into chaos. In the workplace, the civilian side, we prepare to avoid it. But there's no getting around the chaos right now. We need to go through it, over it, and we need to own it. And I'm going to show you how to lead through that. I'm going to show you how to sell through that. I want to leave on this. You can feel free to email me questions. We have our chat line open. The Think Great team, we are panelists there, and we're going to be able to get back to you. I will personally get back to you on the questions you have. But I want to let you know this. You can control two things. Right now, you can control your thoughts and your actions. You can make the decision to think great, and the world needs more great thinkers right now. We can either succumb to our circumstances, or we can embrace the opportunity right in front of us. The opportunity is for us to get better, to be greater, to come out on the other side stronger. And we're going to do that through goal setting and goal accomplishing. Thank you so much. If you need anything from myself or the Think Great team, just let us know. Think great, be safe.